I was growing up and getting into guitar playing, I never really had the urge to be a great acoustic guitar player. I was more enamored with electric guitar players like Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page, Hendrix, and all of the great British blues players before starting my journey backwards into the older blues stuff. Now, the acoustic guitar always, to me, was a little bit of a mystery. I could never really find a great use for it in my own playing because I was mostly playing rock and electric blues. So for me, the acoustic was almost like a separate art form. I would use it as a tool if I was writing songs or recording an acoustic part, then I would find a use for it. But really, I never saw myself as an out-and-out acoustic player. And I still don't to this day. But growing up, all of my favorite acoustic sounds always seemed to come from Martin guitars. So I thought at some point I'm going to have to check one of these things out. So I have played a bunch of Martin guitars over the years, and I've actually done another video on a Martin guitar called an SC13E, which is a little bit more of a modern take on an acoustic. But what I'm holding in my hands right now is much more of the classic style. This is the Martin D-18, and I'm incredibly pleased to be having a few days to experience this thing in my own studio, and I'm absolutely loving it. So let me give you a bit of background about why I have this guitar here. This isn't actually here to make this video. This is actually here to make another video, which is linked in the top corner. I've been working with the guys at Martin Guitars and Westside Distribution to make a video showing you all of the different strings that Martin make. This guitar came on loan for me to make that video with, but honestly, I'm having such a good time with this guitar, and just the experience of having a really great Martin here for a few days, I had to turn the cameras on and talk about it a little bit. If you want to hear the video where I put a bunch of different Martin strings on this thing and talk about all the different string types they make, go and hit the link in the top corner and you can hear this thing in a bunch of different ways. But today I just really want to talk about my experience with this guitar and let you hear a little bit about what it sounds like. So this is a D-18. This is a pretty classic Martin design. You know, as I said, all of my favorite acoustic players and all my favorite acoustic sounds always seem to come from Martin guitars. I have played a bunch of sort of mid-level Martin guitars, but I've never actually experienced a really expensive one like this. And I know in the UK, these retail at around about the $2,500 mark. They're not cheap instruments, but they're incredible. I'm absolutely enamored with the sound of this thing. I really love it, and I genuinely don't want to give this thing back. So this isn't even a sponsored video. The guys at Martin in the UK and Westside Distribution sent this to me on loan for another sponsored video, which is the video about the strings. Honestly, this video is a little bit off the cuff. I just turned the cameras on because I wanted to share my experience with this thing. And yeah, what a great experience it is. I'm absolutely loving having this thing here for a while. So for anyone watching who might be unfamiliar with Martin guitars, these guys have been around since 1833. So that means they've got nearly 200 years of guitar building experience under their belt. So by now, the guys at Martin really know a thing or two about making a great guitar. This D-18 I'm holding was made in their Pennsylvania factory in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, all handmade the way they always have been made. Now, with the brand existing for as long as it has, obviously they've crossed a multitude of generations, which means basically since the formation of rock and pop music, these things have been present. A lot of my favorite players growing up have played Martins. So guys like Eric Clapton, Rich Robinson from the Black Crowes, and more recently guys like John Mayer. But also you've got other historical players also playing Martin. You've got Elvis Presley, Bob Dylan, Neil Young, John Lennon. More recently guys like Ed Sheeran have also played the brand. So the brand has transcended genres. It doesn't matter who you are or what you play. The chances are Martin has never been too far away. Like I said, they've been building them for nearly 200 years. So they definitely know a thing or two about how to put these things together. So this D-18 I'm holding is a pretty standard D-18. We've got this lovely Sitka spruce top in a very high gloss finish. And the back and sides are made from mahogany, which is also very, very high gloss. The Sitka spruce gives the tone a nice high-end clarity, but those mahogany back and sides really give it a nice warmth and depth as well. On the top of the guitar, we've got a tortoiseshell pickguard and an ebony bridge. The bridge pins are made from black plastic, and the saddle is a compensated bone saddle. We've got a 16-inch radius on that saddle, so it's quite flat, very good for finger picking, and basically a bunch of other styles as well. It's a very versatile playing guitar. Coming up to the neck now, we've got this ebony fingerboard, which is on a 25.4-inch scale neck. It's got 20 frets on top. The back of the neck is this dark mahogany color, but the wood on the website is listed as select hardwood. So I'm not sure exactly what wood that is made from, but it is finished in this dark mahogany color. We've got 20 frets on top of the guitar with a 14 fret join, typical of all the D-18 style guitars. And we've got the white side dots and top dots as well. The fingerstyle inlays are referred to as old style 18 and they're abalone. Then up at the top of the neck, we have a classic Martin headstock design. This has an East Indian rosewood faceplate. And on the back of the headstock, we have these open gear Grover tuners, which are very, very smooth and very stable. This guitar also has a bone nut. String-wise, this guitar is actually currently loaded up with a set of the Martin retro strings. So these are the Manel-wrapped strings, very much like that late 60s, early 70s classic vintage acoustic guitar tone. Obviously, this guitar would usually come with Martin's treated Lifespan 2.0 strings, but these are the last set of strings that I had on there from making the previous video. And these are actually my favorite Martin strings anyway, so it couldn't have actually worked out better for me to shoot this video. I actually really like the Manel wrapped retro strings because they do have a little bit of a darker tone. They actually reduce the pick attack slightly and allow the guitar's natural voice to pop through a little bit more. So for me, these are actually a little bit more akin to what I'm used to hearing on my favorite records. So I'm a big fan of these retro strings anyway. All right, so now I think you need to hear how this thing sounds. So obviously with this being a classic Martin style, it doesn't even have a pickup. It's all acoustic, which is great because I'm miking this with this Lewitt Audio LCT 440 condenser mic you see right in front of me. This is about 6 or 7 inches away from the fretboard, pointing at around about the 15th fret. And just out of shot, I've also got a Rode NTG1 shotgun mic. I'm using that just to pick up a little bit of the room ambience and a little bit of the pick attack as well. So I'm going to play this strummed to start. So the combination of that Sitka spruce and the mahogany back and sides is really nice. It's got a real rich low end, but there's a really nice sparkle to the top end. It's also very, very responsive for fingerstyle playing as well. So if you're playing fingerstyle, it can really do all the subtle stuff, but when you dig in that little bit more, the guitar really comes alive. The sound of this D-18 is just fantastic. It's so balanced. It's got all the rich low end that you'd expect, but those highs are really chimey. When you're strumming and when you're fingerpicking, it's very, very balanced across the spectrum. Then, if you want it to get really articulate, you can pick single notes with a plectrum. So all in all, I think it's pretty safe to say I'm really enjoying my time with this Martin D-18. I've not actually been this excited about an acoustic guitar, I think maybe ever, because I've always actually really wanted to try one of these. I love Martin guitars. I love the history of them, the sound of them, and the people that play them. So to have this for a while and just experience it is really something special. And I think that's the key word there, experience. When you get to play a high-end guitar that has that historical significance, whether it's a vintage guitar or it just comes from a company like Martin that have that historical lineage, it really is an experience. This is the first time I think I've ever actually played an acoustic and genuinely thought, I need to own one of these one day. I've always had acoustics that are functional and get me through gigs when I need to play them, but to own one of these, that would be the dream. So yeah, a huge thank you to the guys at Martin in the UK and Westside for hooking me up with this for a few days. I really don't want to give this thing back. Let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear what your experiences are with guitars that you've always wanted to try and finally got your hands on. And also let me know what you think of the sound of this thing, because I love it. I'd love to hear what you guys think of the sound of the D-18 as well. Throw that below in the comments. While you're down there letting me know what you think, don't forget to hit that like button because that helps more than you realize. And if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel as well. Looking forward to hearing what you guys think of the sound of the D-18. Throw your comments down below and I'll speak to you guys very, very soon. Thanks so much for watching, as always.